Hi, welcome to Write More Light. My name is Sarah. I'm with the Midwest Writing Center. And if you are unfamiliar with the web series Write More Light, once a week I will interview someone doing something awesome in the arts, and once a week I will give some sort of short lesson. Um, Following the main the main event, I'll give updates on the Midwest Writing Center and then leave you with a writing prompt. So let's get into it. Today is maybe not a craft lesson, but it is something that keeps coming up and keeps coming up in my experience in the writing world lately. We're going to talk about in times of trouble, writing in times of trouble. I want to be maybe unnecessarily transparent here. The only note I left myself when I decided on this topic was the title, Writing in Times of Trouble. Um, so uh, it's possible that this was not my original plan, and if that's the case, when I remember it, I'll make a whole new video. Um, yeah. So when I talk about or think about writing in times of trouble, I think about how um, I don't know, we have a tendency to, or at least the artists I know, um, have a tendency to laud the arts as our savior in difficult times. And I do fully believe that art is and can be the thing that will save us both as individuals and as a culture. But I think this can also lend itself in the direction of toxic positivity. If you're not familiar with toxic positivity, it is beyond being an optimist. It's more like when something really terrible happens and somebody says, look on the bright side, at least you don't have to work today, and you're like, my life is in ruins. Okay, right? And there are people who really have that attitude. I don't know how genuine it is, but it goes beyond the like things will be okay to, being unhelpful and maybe condescending with that positivity. So I think that when we can go too far in talking about the arts as our saving grace and lauding artists, like when we do that thing with teachers and nurses and even mothers where we call them heroes, right? Call them heroes, we call them heroes, and then we don't treat them like heroes, right? We don't give them a happy environment for them to thrive in whatever arena it is that we believe them to be heroes. Um, we don't we don't want to do that. And we also don't want to fall into that thing where there's any gatekeeping to our art or to what makes art art. I'm disinterested in defining art or determining if some art or more important or more valuable than other art. That just leads to additional problems and gatekeeping and harms everyone. Um, it may not be that all people are artists. I don't know if I believe that. Um, but for sure, all of us engage with art. You can't exist in the world without that. But I digress. Um, None of that is actually my point today. I can talk about why art is where the future lives any day, and it'll probably keep coming up as the video wears on. Um, but today we are not asking artists to save us, nor are we volunteering for tribute. Art is going to happen no matter what. That's the point. That actually, I think I have that in my head from a Tara Hardy poem called Bone Marrow. She talks about that poem is about her cancer diagnosis and all she learned from having cancer. And toward the middle of the poem, she talks about how, like she was surprised to not think, I haven't written enough. And then later she says, poems will happen because that is how I process life, but I will no longer mistake them for living. Um, so that the art is going to happen. The art is going to happen because we are artists. And that's the point today. It's so easy to think that we have to do a certain thing with our art in this time and place because we want to help or we have this energy that we want to use change the world or heal ourselves or whatever. Um, but if the idea isn't there or the inspiration isn't there, all we're doing is adding pressure or forcing something that doesn't want to come. If the inspiration's there, everything I'm saying doesn't matter. Um, but if we're just adding pressure or trying to force something, we can end up cutting ourselves off from the work that comes to us or comes from us naturally. I do suppose I should caveat. Sometimes some people are really into pressure. That works for them. I'm not talking to those people, I guess. Um, what we need to be making is the art that wants to come out. Um, and maybe that doesn't feel important or whatever. And maybe we're ending up like you hear this and you're like, okay, I'm just gonna do my daily writing practice. That's what I'm doing. 10 minutes a day, I'm gonna write. And I think that's really important. And I guess this is a little bit of a caveat. There's a quote I've all my life misattributed, I think, or either just used wrong, or had the words wrong from, I think, Lincoln, which is I will prepare, and when the time comes, I will be ready. I think that's great. I think that when we work on our daily practice, whatever it is in our writing, that's what we're doing. And then when the time comes, we've got the practice built up so we can meet the moment. Um, But in times of trouble, right, we lean on art for comfort. We lean on it for inspiration and motivation too, but we lean on it for comfort. And that's important. I love a comfort show to watch on repeat forever. I love, my favorite album from 10 years ago, or, you know, the first I'm looking at a book on the shelf over here. It's this children's book that I read as a child that I've been thinking about picking up again because I don't really remember it, but I know that it gave me some escapism and it just made me feel good. Um, what, whatever it is, the art that we consume, that we surround ourselves with, a lot of the time is for comfort. Um, and I think, especially when we're having a hard time, it might even be important to return to our favorites, both for comfort and to, um, recognize what was important to us or who we are in the context of that favorite thing. There are a lot of reasons to return to favorites, but I'm trying to emphasize like why that might be an important thing to do here and now, right? Um, and the places where we find comfort matter, even if it's something we might be embarrassed to admit we love or something. I don't know. I don't really get embarrassed about my problematic faves. Um, and while I do love the quote, hold on, I found out who it was. It was something where it's like people attribute it to this person, and it's like, okay, does that mean it is or is not? The quote is attributed to Cesar A. Cruz, that art should comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable. I love that quote and I love that idea, but um, and also I have occasionally said that our comfort zone is a dangerous place. But when we're struggling, we need comfort, and we maybe can't move forward, and we maybe can't move at all if we can't find a stable moment, um, which is like actually a very real psychology phenomenon. I'm not just like trying to give an artist pep talk. We need homeostasis in order to find grounding and move forward and grow. So our art is always going to be there and it will always have the power to make change. Sometimes we feel blocked from making it, and I have a video on that. Or we need rest, but we can always consume art in those times, and we can always make art, even if we're not really feeling up to it. But that art does not need to make change, and it does not need to have the power to. The art doesn't need to have a purpose other than you just want to make art. But if it later turns out that maybe it did or can or will or could have a purpose, um, our director, Ryan Collins at the Writing Center, said to me recently that if art were a tool, it could be a hammer or a scalpel or a match. And I also find that helpful. Maybe this hammer is just for my benefit, right? Maybe I'm hanging something, maybe I'm hanging a hook in my home and only I will use it. Um, but it's going to make my life a lot easier to have that hook there, right? Um, yeah, that's our times of trouble talk. Um, Thanks for hanging out. I'm going to give you your promised updates on the Midwest Writing Center and upcoming events, and then I will leave you with that writing prompt. So, what day is today? Today is September 9th, so we're going to look at the future. Um, this Saturday, we've got a rain date for our online writer studio group, and we also will be at the Davenport Parks has a like a fun day at Fedgeberry Park from 12 to 3 on Saturday. That's the 13th. Um, Next week. We will have, what am I thinking of? Next week, we will be hanging out at Butterworth Center for their event on Sunday the 21st. I'm getting this out of order. My apologies, friends. And the day before that is a regular writer studio day, both in person and online. Again, that's our totally free workshop group, open to anyone who's interested in both giving and receiving feedback on their work in a holistic way. We are hoping to help you make your writing what you want it to be. We're not trying to help you make art that I want to read. On Saturday, the 20th, we are very excited to be collaborating with the Atlas Collective for the book launch of More Hell, which is not sitting next to me, by Adam L. Sergani. It's a new novel from Whiskey Tit, which is a really cool indie press. Actually got to meet him this weekend at Printers Row. Had a good time. Took some cheesy pictures together. Um, yeah, so he'll be reading at the Atlas Collective at 6 o'clock, Saturday, September 20th. And opening for him, reading with him, will be Ava Miller and Esther Wint. Um, Coming up after that, um, we will be at the QCAD, Quad Cities Affirming Diversity, 35th anniversary party at the Botanical Center on September 27th. Again, a Saturday. That event is 12 to 4. I think we're there. I mean, we'll be there all day, but I think we've got readers around 1. Um, Coming up soon, we've got a book release party for The Mean Ones by Tatiana Shaloti Bonet. We've got our friends at Labor Space, Roz Talks, Ragged Records, are having Lowland Block Party at the beginning of October. Our annual band book week celebration is going to be October 6th. So there's a lot going on with that, which will be fantastic. We've got a new workshop coming up with Jeffrey Wolf. Things are starting to come back, be busy again here for the autumn. So I'm excited to have things to yell at y'all about, honestly. Um, cool. So, as you may know, I try to keep our prompts on theme. So, my apologies if this one's disappointing, but please set, 5, 10, 15 minutes, whatever you've got to set aside to do this free write. Set your timer and write into times of trouble. I know I was initially, by the way, going to say time to journal. I'm not ever going to be prescriptive like that. If you do a journal, great. If you do a list, great. If it's a poem, a narrative, fiction, nonfiction, write what comes. As always, thanks for hanging out, and please write more light into your life.